Now, you said that you were mixed with Mexican and what was the other nationality? Hispanic. You said you were mixed with Mexican. You said Spaniard.
Yeah.
Right? Are Spaniards native to here?
I don't know.
They're not. They're a nation that came from afar. Watch this. Read it again.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
1492, Christopher Columbus was a Spaniard, and he came from all across the other side of the ocean and came to you. Read.
From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flying.
What animal do they use as a symbol on their flags? Notice the Spaniards, the Greek, all of them, including America, who did the same thing as the Spaniards. You notice they all use an eagle, right? Read that again.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
The Spaniards?
From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flight.
Eagle letting you know that that's who he's talking about. Read.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Because before they came, believe it or not, you were speaking Paleo-Hebrew, not Spanish, right? So you didn't understand a word that they were saying. Read.
A nation of fierce countenance.
And these people were so fierce, they're going to tell you how fierce they is. Watch.
Which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
They were killing old men, old women, and also children.
Amber color with the full face, eyes brighter than the sun, looking every way. On a mission, if God tell me hit the place, my soul going crazy till it break, or he tell me stay.
What's your name?
Desiree.
Desiree?
Yes.
And what do you identify as, Desiree? What's your nationality?
Hispanic.
Hispanic?
Yes.
So when you say Hispanic, give me a little bit of where you from?
I'm originally from Gallup, New Mexico.
From Gallup, New Mexico?
Yeah.
And then your mother and father is from?
They're all from Gallup, so yeah.
So you're all
my
from Gallup?
ancestors all from Mexico and Spain and stuff. So it's like a mixture.
A mixture of Mexico. And it makes sense to be a mixture, right? Because the Spaniards conquered Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? So, on this sign, when you look up Mexico or Mexican, what do you see?
Mexican, so that's it.
So you will be considered the tribe of Issachar. So believe it or not, the Mexicans are part of God's people, right? And being part of God's people, we know that God has commandments and rules that we have to follow, right? Because it's part of our culture, right? And we know that the hell that we're going through and that you're going through as Mexicans and Hispanics is part of the curses that earlier we were describing in Deuteronomy 28 that would happen to us if we chose not to keep God's commandments, right? So what are some, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked them. What are some of the things you see happening with your people that you know is just like, this is nuts, this is crazy, right? This, no justice whatsoever. It's like,
When they come over here, they don't know, like they want everything to have like attitude.
well, not necessarily that.
Not
So,
to me though.
okay, not to you. Okay, so what you're saying is they have a lot of nerve to say that y'all should come wanting help, knowing that this is y'all land,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Like we need to have jobs, try to get jobs. And I know a lot of people can't, so I feel like that. What you gotta do, whatever God has.
But you know what though? There's a saying that basically says that Mexicans are some of the hardest working people, right? Right. So I don't see them just coming over wanting handouts. So what's missing is they're not getting opportunities. You understand? So it's not that they won't work. It's not that they don't work. They're not getting opportunities. But guess what? This is related to curses. Because it's a funny thing that you come from Mexico to a place called New Mexico that used to be a part of New Mexico, and you're considered an alien in a land that's yours. Right? And then you're told, you got to meet these standards to be considered a citizen on a landmass that was stolen from you and was yours in the first place. So you got to ask yourself, why, if there's a God, why did that happen, right? Why did he allow that to happen, right? Where's the justice? You know why he allowed it to happen? Because we broke God's commandments, and I'm going to prove it. So give me Deuteronomy 28, verse 15 first, and then I want you to go up to where a nation that thou knowest not. So read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So you know that the God of this Bible is your God, right? And so what Moses is sitting there saying right now, that at some point in time, if we choose not to do what God told us to do,
to observe, to do all his commandments.
Because God has commandments. Are you familiar with some of the commandments? At least the 10, right?
Yeah.
So we know there are standards to living, right? Respect your mother. Keep the Sabbath day. Thou shalt not steal, right? Thou shalt not commit murder, right? So if we don't keep these things, read.
And his statutes, which I command thee this day.
So a statute is basically him explaining how to keep a commandment, right? So we see it says keep the Sabbath day, but he also got scriptures saying now this is how you keep the Sabbath day, right? So if we don't even so much as keep the sub-laws to a major law, read.
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So is a curse a good thing or a bad thing? It could be either or, but predominantly for us, it's what?
I mean, good thing if we follow all the rules.
Well, that's the thing. The point of the curse is to hopefully get us to begin to follow all the rules. But right now, what we see is this a bad? Right, we're not. It's a bad thing, right? So he said these curses are going to come upon you. Now, he's about to name a curse. And this is very specific. And this is how we can identify and prove that you God's people. Because you just admitted you see the history and it happening, right? Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
Now, you said that you were mixed with Mexican and what was the other nationality? Hispanic. You said you were mixed with Mexican and you said Spaniard.
Yeah.
Right? Are Spaniards native to here?
I don't know.
They're not. They're a nation that came from afar. Watch this. Read it again.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
1492, Christopher Columbus was a Spaniard, and he came from all across the other side of the ocean and came to you. Read.
From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
And the reason why it mentioned the eagle, because God is trying to let you know that. Are you familiar with the Spaniards?
Some of it.
So, what animal do they use as a symbol on their flags? Notice the Spaniards, all of them, including America, who did the same thing as the Spaniards. You notice they all use an eagle, right? Read that again.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
The Spaniards?
From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flight.
Eagle letting you know that that's who he's talking about, read.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Because before they came, believe it or not, you were speaking Paleo-Hebrew, not Spanish, right? So you didn't understand a word that they were saying, read.
A nation of fierce countenance.
And these people were so fierce, they're going to tell you how fierce they is. Watch.
Which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
They were killing old men, old women, and also children, right? When we look at smallpox, right, they laced blankets with smallpox, right? Now, predominantly, even if you think about it now, when the temperature is cold outside, who are the first people you giving blankets to? Right? Kids and the elderly. Right? That's an example of them not giving a damn about the old or young. Another example is that when Columbus came, one of the things that he would do is he would take women with small children or pregnant women, and they would sick their dogs on the kids and rip the children apart. They would take the children and slap the children against brick walls in order to make their heads explode and different things like that. They created games on who can chop off a child, a woman, or a man's head with only one chop, and they're laughing and giggling playing these type of games. So it's talking about how evil and fierce these people are. Read.
Verse 51. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle.
So not only did he come here and do that to you, but then he started taking your cattle, right? He started taking your everything that was your livelihood, right? Your meat, your animals. Read.
And the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed.
So he started taking your gold, he started taking all your riches, even so far that he took your culture. He took your nationality, he took who you was, called you somebody else. That's what it means when they say you're destroyed. To be destroyed means that I have no freaking clue who I am, and I call myself by something completely different because I don't even know where I came from at that point. That's what it means to be destroyed, right? To completely lose your past. You know what I'm saying? Read.
Which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil.
They ain't even have enough decency to leave you any of it, too. They took it and you're not getting none of it. In fact, you got to sign up paperwork to even get back into your land, and you got to qualify to get back into your land. And then on top of that, you know, you got to apply for a job. And then in order to get the job, even though you used to speak Hebrew, I taught you Spanish, and then now you come to my other country, and I don't even want you speaking Spanish. So now you got to speak English just to get a job here. So you got to get rid of the first language. I destroyed your first language, gave you one, and then now the language that I previously gave you, now you got to get rid of just to even make a living in a country that was yours in the first place, right? Read.
Or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee.
So notice he keeps saying destroy. He's not just saying hurt. He's using the word destroy, which is like obliterate, right? This is how serious the history and what happened to you all are, right? So now that you know you're an Israelite, and we just proved that you are an Israelite in the Bible based on history, right? History that has come to pass. So this is proving that the Bible is not some spiritual book, but believe it or not, it's actually your history book. Yeah. And it's actually a book of law, statutes, and commandments, basically letting you know what you're supposed to do to get back right with God. Because at the end of the day, we all want to get heaven.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
What is the nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is